turn it on over to Prophetess Ayesha Stewart. And I can say Stewart now, y'all. Ayesha Stewart, but I ain't gonna jump ahead of her. Go ahead, tell us your story.
Hey man, God bless. Thank you for the opportunity to be on My Story for His Glory. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to tell my story. For me, I grew up on the rough side of downtown Newport News. I am one out of 9 siblings, and I have a twin sister. And we grew up from the beginning in an environment that was a war zone. In the beginning, my mother, who had 9 children, trying to take care of them and raise them was very hard for her. One of the reasons was because she had a very heavy drug addiction and a habit that kept her from being able to keep all of her children at the same time. And so growing up in a neighborhood like that, having to deal with the outside influence as well as the battle that she had going on within her. She was a woman of God, but that was a battle that she struggled with all her life. Well, for us, because of the battle that she struggled with, I believe that she also struggled with rejection. And that rejection opened up the doorway for several different things that were passed down to her generation after her, which is us. So what happened one particular time where she had to go back to jail because of whatever reason. And she put us in the hand of our grandmother, or so we thought. Now, our grandmother, basically, her son, we called Dad for the beginning part of our life, but come to find out that our real dad ended up on the scene. And my grandmother found out that we were not blood relatives, but she loved us just the same. And she had 7 boys. And she told us she always prayed for girls. Well, she got her set of girls. And so we ended up being the answer to that prayer of being the girls that she never had. So of course she spoiled us. And she raised us from 6 months until later on in life.
I know that you said that you were a child of 9 siblings, and you were the what child?
The 6th.
The 6th child, and your mom was addicted to drugs, and so you guys were separated very young.
Yes.
And you and your twin sister went with your grandmother.
Yes.
Right. And some of the other siblings went to different family members and things like that.
And the foster care system.
Wow. So how do you think that impacted you?
Well, I think that it had a great impact on my life because there was always this question of why didn't you keep me or let us stay with you like she allowed some of our other siblings did stay with her. And that kind of, I feel like it traveled with me for the majority of my life, that question of why didn't you keep me? But later on, as I got older and in Christ, there still was unforgiveness and bitterness, and that root of rejection was attached to it. To now I had to deal with the issue of that rejection. And I had to realize that she was sick because addiction is a sickness, is an illness.
It is.
And I could not expect something from her that she could not give me. So to deal with it from that end is like also too what she might have experienced. You know, that generational curse of what she might have experienced might have been the same way.
And you know what? And that's a word in itself, because a lot of times, you know, we as adults now, we can look back at our parents and we can pick out all these different things that they didn't do right.
Yes.
But what did they not get?
Right.
What was missing in their life? And maybe they absolutely did the very best that they knew to do.
Because I had a chance to ask her, why did we end up staying with her? And she said, I knew that I was going to jail. She said, the best thing that I could do for you was to give you to somebody I knew was going to protect you. So my grandmother raised us up in church. And so my other siblings, that situation wasn't the same. But for us, it was a protection. She kept us in church and she kept us in the face of God. And so for us, I take it now as a blessing that we were raised that way.
So in living with your grandmother, I know that you were there with her for how many years?
Well, we were there from 6 months old up until like 12.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So what? How did you end up leaving your grandmother?
Well, at 12 years old, she became really ill. For years, she had been dealing with heart disease, and this particular time, she had a massive heart attack, and she had to have triple bypass surgery. And so, while she was rehabilitating with my aunt and uncle, they let us stay with one of her friends, my aunt's friends, to stay with her so we could continue to keep going to the same school system. And that particular lady took us in, and she had us for about 2.5 years. But that was one of the worst experiences in my life. And again, what she might have experienced might have been why she treated us the way that she did. She was very abusive emotionally and physically, and neglect. There were times, coming from my grandmother who basically spoiled us, to someone who was very abusive was a culture shock, if you could say that, very traumatic. At times she wouldn't feed us, and the times that she did feed us, it was microwave oatmeal, or sometimes we would go days with just glasses of water.
Oh my God.
And she was very obsessive compulsive. That lets me know that there was some kind of root in her that caused her to be that way. And there were times when she would make us get up in the morning before we went to school and to clean the whole house. And then she would have us to read for about another hour the Bible. So you can imagine if school starts at 7, we probably was up at 5. And I believe that the enemy used her to use the Bible against us, if you could say that. Because she had us reading the Bible. I went through the Bible about 3 or 4 times. And she would have us read it for an hour. And the enemy could have used that to make us be upset at God, bitter at God, turn away from God, and turn away from the Word. But the Word is living. It's on fire and it has power. And I think that's what protected us and kept our minds, because it could have gone another way.
I want you to tell them, because y'all, she was telling me just some specific things that this woman, just share a few things that this lady did.
Well, my grandmother used to always, she used to always spoil us. It was nothing that she would buy us. She would buy us in matching things because we were twins, total opposite. So the lady, I call her the lady, Sister Robinson, because she told us to call her that. She took all of our clothes and she put them in a box and put them in a separate room and locked the door. She went to the store, the thrift store, matter of fact, and made sure she got the ugliest clothes that she could find.
So she wouldn't let y'all wear the clothes that your grandmother had provided for you.
No.
You couldn't wear that.
She wouldn't let us wear any of the clothes that we would usually wear. And she made us wear those clothes that she picked out for punishment. And the punishment would be if we cleaned the kitchen and we left a jar in a different place, and she felt like it wasn't supposed to be in that particular place. And if you didn't put it in the same place, and you had, like for instance, my sister was she cleaned up and she put something somewhere and she felt like it wasn't in the same place. But of course she was suffering with obsessive compulsiveness, or what the lady was. So anywhere my sister put it, it didn't matter. So my sister would spend times where she had her standing up all night long in the kitchen, and she would not let her sleep. And then we had to get up the next day and go to school. My sister started falling asleep in school, and so one of her favorite teachers reached out to her and asked her, like, what's going on at home? Why are you not sleeping? And she told the teacher what was going on. This is another thing. But the teacher kind of brushed it off, I guess. We were telling people what she had been doing to us and the abuse, and even my aunt knew, what was going on, and she kind of brushed it off and laughed it off like they didn't believe us, but all the while we were going through that. There were times when she would have us sleeping on the wooden step, and I never forget this particular time, laying down on the wooden step all night long. It was punishment for something, I can't even remember what it was. Looking up into this window that was up near the ceiling, and all I could see was the moon, and I was just like, God, I know that you're out there. Have you left us? Do you care about us? Do you even know that this is going on? And feeling rejected, abandoned, neglected, abused. And wondering, will God ever come to our rescue? Or anybody for that matter.
Now, when you all came to this lady, because I know you talked about not eating. Because I want them to get a good picture of when she says not eating. You came there one size. How much weight? I mean,
when we came there, we were healthy, chunky girls because our grandmother made sure we ate, as a grandmother does. But we had got down to like skin and bones. And she would get money for us, and we would find empty cartons in the trash can of food, empty things that she had eaten, what she ate. But what she would give us would be a bowl of oatmeal that she put in the microwave for a few seconds when she did feed us, right? And so one particular time, because we loved to eat, my grandmother gave us food, candy, all those things. And so she was a Seventh-day Adventist, and she was on more so of the more stringent side. So she didn't want us eating a lot of sweets and different things. But coming from that as a child, being raised up on that, to eating candies and sweets to nothing is a shock. So we used to sneak to the corner store and buy little stuff and put it in our pockets. And this particular time, it was so funny, I can laugh now. We had bought like 100 them penny candy cookies, put them in a paper bag, and we had put it in our pockets. But we young, we didn't think nothing of it. We come in the house, it's pouring down raining. So we come in the house, we taking off our jackets and everything we had, raincoats, and the bags got wet. All of these cookies started falling out of our pockets.
Lord.
So that was punishment on another level. And so she said, well, y'all like to eat sweets? Okay, let's go to the store. And we knew something was different because she never took us to the store. Neither did she ever really feed us. So we went to the store and she said, got this basket. And she said, put it here, whatever you want to eat. Here, take some of this. And then she's like, oh, put that in there. Stuff we didn't ask for. She put in there. We was excited. Got home. We sat down at this table that she had in the kitchen. Me and my sister facing each other. And she set out all the stuff on it. It was a big bag of miniature chocolate candies. It was a 2-liter. It was a 2-gallon of ice cream, but a piece. We had it a piece, not together. And she said, oh, y'all like to eat sweets? Now eat. And we were just looking at each other like kids. We like, what? So we eating at first, eating everything. Started to slow down because we full. And a whole 2-liter of soda. So I had to use the bathroom. And I asked her, could I go to the bathroom? And she said, no, sit there and eat until you finish. And as a child, I couldn't hold it because I had a whole 2-liter in my bladder. So I used the bathroom myself. And like I said, we always was on punishment. Now, there were times that was far in between where we weren't on punishment. She would let us wear certain stuff. So it was this dress that I picked out that was my favorite dress. And when I wasn't on punishment, I got to wear that dress. Well, she made my twin sister go upstairs and get the dress, come downstairs, wipe the urine up with it, and throw it in the dumpster. So my sister went outside and she tried to hide it, but she watched her till she put it in the dumpster. And so it was different things that she would do that was very strategic, and I believe that she was influenced by the enemy because nobody, I would believe in that right now, do stuff like that. The stuff that she did, and she cut all her hair off, down to cut it off. So you can imagine what bullying is, whole nother level. And because we had on those clothes that she chose for us for punishment, we would get on the bus all day, when we get off all day, just to ridicule, the bullying, everything.
Because she was buying these clothes that weren't her clothes.
And then she made sure they were out of date.
Not feeding you. What were the teachers saying?
So, and that's the other thing.
Did they notice?
They noticed, and a lot of them, because we were going to school with some of the same friends that we went to school with, and we were staying with our grandmother, they noticed it. And they told some of the teachers. So some of the teachers did ask us, and some of them did not. It's crazy because it's kind of like they just brush it under the rug. Now, today they have the mandated reporters now, so it's a little different. But there were some teachers in particular that stood out to me that helped us, and I thank God for them. That's one of the reasons why my sister became a teacher today. One particular teacher saw what was going on, tried to reach out to my sister to find out what was going on. And one of my teachers, favorite teachers, found out from my friends who I was in class with, and they noticed it. So she had me before the school bell started. She said, go to the back, because it was in the science room, and in the back they had a lab with a storage lab. And when she said, go to the back, she took me to the back, and the counter, I'm sorry, was laid with brand new pairs of jeans and shirts and stuff, and some of the stuff was from some of the students who had collected it to give to us. And some of the stuff was stuff that she bought and some of the other teachers bought. And she said, go ahead, but we're going to let you do this, don't worry about it, don't be afraid. Go ahead and change out in your clothes before the bell rings, and we'll give you time at the end of the day before class is over to go back and change out of your clothes. So you won't, so she won't know what happened. Because at first, when that was happening, we started to take some of our clothes. We was a sneaker. And she found some of them. I'm sorry. She found some of them in the book bags. So she would check us every day before we left home to make sure that we didn't put no change of clothes in the clothes. But the grace of God sent the teachers and my friends by to respond differently. They saw something was going on and they responded. So I remember that particular teacher, I believe that she reported it to the Department of CPS, Child Protective Services. And because I got a visit at school one day with my grandmother. Because my grandmother by that time had gotten better, but she was now back home. And so for the most part of our life, we were in and out. That started the whole cycle of being in and out of the court and juvenile system, because when
my
my
grandmother was trying to get you back.
Trying to get me back. And trying to get us back. And my daddy, because that was an opportunity for other people to try to get us. So, they would say that she couldn't keep us or take care of us. And so my dad tried to come get us. At the same time, they were fighting over us. Sister Robinson, my mom, my dad, and my real mom.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
So we were back and forth in the court system. We looking like a deer in the headlights, and we don't really know what's going on. So anyway, my grandmother came up to the school with the CPS people, and she had bought me a new outfit. So I changed it to the outfit or whatever. I didn't know the people that was with her was CPS. But there was an incident that happened with Sister Robinson, and it was the night before she came, I guess, up there to see me, or a couple of days after that. Because the incident was I was downstairs, I was cleaning up, and a teapot went across the stove by itself.
Wow.
So it was just me in there by myself, and this teapot goes across the stove and hits the floor. I knew I was going to be on punishment. So she goes, what's that noise? She comes running down the steps. Why'd you break my teapot? I was like, I didn't break the teapot. I said it fell off the stove. She grabbed me by my shirt and was getting ready to hit me with the extension cord. And the reflex, I had fear of her, but that particular time, my reflex, I grabbed the extension cord. And when I grabbed the extension cord, it made her so mad that when she grabbed me, it was a big scratch across my chest. And she started to chase. My sister kept telling her, sit down, Sister Robinson, you're going to have a heart attack, you're going to have an asthma attack, just calm down, sit down, trying to get her to not try to hit me. And she chased me up and down the steps. And she got so tired from chasing me. You can laugh about it now, but she got so tired of chasing me that she said, you know what, that was her way of threatening us. But you know what, now I'm going to take you over to the girls' home. I'm going to drop y'all off at the girls' home. That's where y'all going, because I'm tired of keeping y'all.
Well, that's how she used to keep y'all under control.
That's how she used to keep us under control and under fear, to make us think that she was going to take us to put us in the system, or again, along with the abuse. There were times where she would have us sitting in the closet in the dark for hours at a time, on our hands, in this particular position for hours at a time.
So, I mean, with all these different things that she did, I mean, the physical things, I mean, making you sleep on the step, I mean, making you get in the closet on your knuckles, and I mean, this is one thing that you said to me yesterday, is that it was as if she was stripping you of your self-esteem,
everything.
In that house, everything that your grandmother had poured into you, she ripped it out. And then the thing is that she used the word against you. But like you said, God flipped that thing, and it was that word that actually kept you.
Yes.
So how did you all end up leaving Sister Robinson?
So what ended up happening, one of the things was what ended up happening was we went back to court, because I guess CPS actually investigated. Found out there were other reports against her, but they didn't really investigate. And this particular time they did. And so that was at the same time when she decided we went back to court, they asked us who to stay with, and this time we said our grandmother. And so we did end up going to stay back with her. But we were totally different people going back with my grandmother than when we left. We were traumatized, brainwashed, because her doctrine was a lot different from our doctrine that we was raised up in. We were raised up in basically a Christian, it was Church of God. Very kind of strict, but not strict to the point of her standpoint. And so she brainwashed and she put in our head, Sister Robinson, that if we went to church on Sunday, that we were going to hell, that if we ate some of the foods that, they did not eat, as far as Seventh-day Adventists, like, scavengers and different things that we ate before we got there, that if we ate those things, that God was going to punish us and we were going to hell. But going back to my grandmother's house, she started feeding us like she always feeds us the food that she gives us. And we began to act out. We were acting out. We were angry. So all of those things and the fear and all of those things that was in us, what she put in us, Sister Robinson, when we got back to our grandmother's house, nobody else to come out on
it. It was so broken at that point.
Torn down. Spirit of rejection, fear, anger, all of those mixed emotions came out. And I think my grandmother didn't really know what to do with us. And she didn't know that maybe we needed counseling. Maybe we need to go talk to someone. And so that's a pattern.
Yes, it is.
Because even when something is going on and something you're acting out, somebody's acting out, and there are clues or there are things that are coming out like something is wrong. This person we need to deal with this. She knew. My grandmother also knew that she had not been feeding us and was abusing us. But I don't think she knew what to do as an older person.
And that is a problem. But you know what? I'm starting to see now that there is a rise, even in the Black community, that awareness for counseling and how important it is. We're starting to get it. And for those that don't know it, we need counseling, guys. I mean, things that happen to us that we don't even think about anymore. That thing has a root and is affecting us, and it causes us to react and respond in ways, and we don't even understand it until they go back and find out it was that incident, that thing. And so counseling is so vital. And for the things that you guys went through,
we need
it. It was just vital. And so now that we're you've gotten to this place, you're back with your grandmother.
Got sick for the second time. And this time she ended up back in the hospital and she did not recover from it. She went back in and there was an infection on the toe and she had diabetes. And we was staying, at the time that she passed away, we were staying with some of the members from the church we grew up in with my grandmother. And there was a family that took us in when my grandmother passed away. So all along, we still got all of these things going on, and we end up in that household. And I will say that household was a stability for us. One thing about it, we did eat too much. And you know what, I realized too that to some extent, because that situation happened, my eating habits,
went from one extreme to the other.
And so when it was time for us to go to high school, when I graduated, I was like 250 pounds and overweight. My sister had gained weight too, or whatever. And when I got to college, I was still dealing with depression through my high school years, the spirit of rejection, depression. I never really dated anybody, so I felt forgotten. There was a root of unforgiveness and bitterness because I felt like I was motherless and fatherless. Because although my father was around, we did have a relationship with him, but he wasn't around as much as I feel like maybe we needed him to be around. He also dealt with an addiction too. His was alcoholism. And he died the year after my sister graduated from high school. So we get to college at Norfolk State University, which is our alumni. But
shout out, right?
Shout out Norfolk State University. My sister was in school a year ahead of me. And she had formed the friendships at Norfolk State in the Norfolk State Gospel Choir. And for the first time in our lives, we were exposed to people our age from all different backgrounds of religions and all different things, but especially in gospel choir, who were rooted in Christianity, and who knew about the Holy Spirit, and who knew about deliverance, and who knew about prophetic worship and all those different things, which was new to me, because like I said, we came from a church where I don't really remember them teaching about the gifts of the Spirit. So anyway, I say that because after I got saved, and you can be, after you get saved, be dealing with some issues.
Yes.
And it comes out more after you get saved, because I think it's a breaking that God wants to take you through, so that He can send the blessings that you've asked Him for.
Right.
And so there was one day that I was in the dorm room with my sister, and I got a call from Sister Robinson. And I knew it was her. And I heard her voice, and I began to get hysterical. And I remember her saying, "What's wrong with you? I'm the reason you're there today." Like, in other words, she was taking the credit for us achieving and being in school because of what she did. I said, "No, that was not what you did. Did not help us to get here. But you know what? It did help us to get here. But what you did to us was abuse." And it was a trigger because I was hysterical. And when I got the phone, I was shaking, crying, tears, because it was traumatic, because it brought all of those things up. And for years, I would dream about wanting to kill her, dream about wanting to hurt her, dreaming about just yelling at her and fussing at her and telling her why she did what she did, confronting her. And so this stuff began to come up and out. And it was affecting my life, and I'm just like, I had to release that unforgiveness and that bitterness, right? So all the way through college and towards the end of college, now maybe my second semester in college, I got diagnosed with diabetes. I got diagnosed with this condition that I now know that it's gastroparesis, but at the time they didn't really have a name for it. That it was a condition that I would get sick, and I've been dealing with that for maybe like 20 some years, that the condition called gastroparesis, and it's paralyzation of the stomach muscles. But it's agitated by stress and other things. And I believe some of the root is that unforgiveness and that bitterness.
And just describe for them real quick when that illness, because it's not something that's on you all the time, but it comes
and goes.
Right. And explain to them, because it lasts like maybe a week. Just explain to them. Longer than that? Okay.
Well, it depends. The gastroparesis, which is a condition that is brought on by diabetes, is a complication of it. And so with me eating like I did for years after that event and gaining that much weight, I developed diabetes, which was hereditary. And then that condition, diabetes affects people's nerves differently in different ways. So for me, it affected the nerves in my stomach. So there are times where it flares up from stress, from maybe sometimes overworking myself, but it would happen at least once a month or more, and my body shuts down where I'm not able to eat or keep food down. There are times when I have to go back to the emergency room to get IVs put in and medicine to put in to calm my stomach down.
Because y'all, I just wanted you guys to get a glimpse of what this woman went through. I walked through this thing with her, and I saw how that thing would come upon her and how sick and how weak she was. So be mindful that you had this baby who wasn't raised by either of her parents. They were both had some type of drug addiction, right? And then the abuse that her and her twin sister endured at the hands of this woman, okay? And now in college, she's diagnosed with a disease that, when I say would break her down, would break her down.